You know you have something valuable to offer. You're creating content, you're showing up, but your message isn't landing and you don't know why. Here's what's actually happening. You've become the bottleneck in your own marketing. Maybe you're scattered across 50 different marketing assets. Maybe you lack clarity on your message. Maybe you're the only one that's creating content, and that's exhausting. Today, we're diving into the hidden marketing bottleneck with Alessandro Calzolari, who specializes in empathic marketing. We're talking about why founders struggle with marketing confidence, the 60/40 rule that changes everything, and how to go from 50 chaotic marketing assets to 5 that actually work. Let's get into it. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Gabby Estrada, and this podcast is all about helping you stop being the bottleneck in your business. Today, I'm joined by Alessandro Calzolari, who helps professionals and purpose led businesses stop blending in through empathic marketing. Alessandro, thank you so much for joining me today in my podcast. I'm super excited for today's conversation. Um, just really help founders understand more about their marketing and where they could have problems and some solutions that they could start implementing on their side. Thank you so much for joining me today.
And thank you for having me. And we are in two different continents, which is amazing. Because I'm
I
in the
know.
UK, you are in the US, so it's wonderful.
Yeah, no, it's crazy how technology can allow us to connect regardless of where you are. Um, Even time zones and time changes can't get it on the in the way. So I'm super excited for today's conversation. We had some issues about like, hey, I thought the recording was at this time, and like, oh no, I thought it was at this time. But we figured out it was just the whole thing about changing the times. I think we need to abolish those rules because it causes so much
100%.
confusion.
Yes, we need. Brilliant, brilliant.
Well, before we dive into the episode, Alessandro, I would love for you to give us a little bit more context about you to the audience. I'm just curious, how did you become like a sales agent? How did you transition from a sales agent in Italy to specializing in empathic marketing? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely, absolutely. So in 2012, I started like be a sales agent. I work as sales agent for 13 different companies in Italy, and we were selling electric materials. Electric materials is really, really logical. It's not emotional. And I noticed that the majority of people, they were looking at you as the buyer rather than another human being. So they were selling a product or they were selling like their service, their expertise, but without really thinking about who is the person that is in front of me. Could be a potential customer, potential client, or someone that is interested in finding a solution. So after 4 years working for these 13 companies, I said I want to do exactly the same, but worldwide. So back in 2016, I moved to the UK to improve like my way of communicating a different language, but also different culture. But I realized that that was not enough to give a lot of value to the other person, a potential customer, potential client. So then I specialize in what is called like marketing, but also with the psychology. So the psychology, really understanding why people buy what they buy. And I dig into something much more deeper, which is called consumer psychology. Really understanding why a person should choose you rather than a competitor. Despite I believe there are no competitors in business. By working like, so I started work as a consultant in 2016 or in 2019. So I specialized, and then in 2019 I started work as a consumer psychology consultant. But I realized that there were so many people with expertise in marketing, and I found that many of them they were not looking at the empathic marketing. So how to use empathy, how to put yourself in the shoes of the other person. So then I specialized in empathic marketing. Now that is my area of expertise, but also the focus of my book called Empathic Marketing.
No, and it's a great book. I learned a lot. I took some time reading it. I have my copy here. And for the audience, I'll put the link in the show notes after we record so you have access to it as well. But yeah, it's such a great book. And I think we sometimes as humans, we miss that point about, like having empathy with one another. We are humans and we have emotions. Even in a business transaction, they are emotions. And I think sometimes we kind of neglect that. So I'm really glad that, through your experience in your career, you've been able to like just narrow down more from consumer psychology and now to this specific area of empathic marketing. Because so far I haven't met anyone else that does this, like covers this area.
Yes, which I'm smiling because when I share about what is my area of specialization when I'm in Italy, people look at me like this, what are you talking about? Because it's so like a niche. And I learned that in the Netherlands and the US, empathic marketing or neuromarketing was very common. But now you're sharing that in the US is not very common as I expected. And yes, so whether you sell a physical product like maybe a laptop or a service like in your case, in my case as a consultant, we sell an experience. In order to sell an experience, we need to really understand the other person. And that was the main reason why I was focusing on empathic marketing rather than the traditional marketing.
Wow, yeah, no, that's perfect. And that it's leads me perfect into the next question that I have for you. So a lot of the people that are hearing us right now, they are founders of businesses, they're leaders within businesses, and they're probably struggling in their marketing. So let's talk about the marketing bottleneck specifically. When founders come to you, what does that bottleneck actually look like? How do you know they're stuck in their business once it comes to marketing?
Yes. So I like to start from many people say, but what's the difference between traditional marketing and empathic marketing? So that is a very good
Yeah.
foundation to explain what they usually experience before working with me. So traditional marketing helps you to say what you do, while empathic marketing helps you to say what you do in an emotional way, in a way that resonates with the other person, but also really knowing where the other person is in the buyer's journey. What is the biggest bottleneck is that many people know what they do, but they don't feel confident in sharing to the world what they do. So many people call like imposter syndrome, or what I usually say, you don't feel confident in sharing to the world what you do because you need to work more on your value proposition, the why people should buy from you rather than a competitor. So when they reach me, they say, Alessandro, I try so many different marketing activities, marketing assets, but none of them they really work for me. They don't really attract the clients. And my top question is, who is your ideal client? And many of them, they think that they can help everyone. They say, any human being that they needs my product or service. And from that conversation, I explained that there are many points that are a red flag in the way that you communicate. You can't help everyone. Then you need to help people that they really understand the why they should work with you, and you need to be in front of the right audience. Many people try to help the person that they don't have like the resources to work with them. So the lack of confidence is the main bottleneck. But there are a lot of psychological reasons behind that. It's not that they are not good, because many people are brilliant in what they do, but they feel undervalued. And what the main problem, the second reason why they reach me, or the bottleneck, they say, Alessandro, every kind of conversation or consultation is based on price. I say, okay,
Yeah.
that is my area of specialization. I can help you to move away from be compared based on price and be compared based on result and value.
Wow. Yeah, that's so wonderful, especially if even if you're a new founder or you've been in business for a long time. I think sometimes you can forget all the knowledge that you have and that you can offer to your clients. And so, yeah, that's where like imposter syndrome, your confidence can get affected. But then by working with you, it's like they highlight, oh, I actually know all of this stuff. We just need to reframe it in a way when we talk to customers, they're not like just like price, price, price. And even after maybe hopefully I'm not getting out of conversation, but even if you fix everything and you still are getting like customers about, asking you about price being the biggest issue, maybe they're not the best customers. And I think, but you will work with them to find the better channels to attract the right audience, right?
It's the best channel, but the starting point is more your inner voice. What I call like meta marketing. So metacognition stands for thinking about thinking. So the way that you think about yourself is gonna positively or negatively affect the other person, a potential customer or client. So
Wow.
you can have the best product or service. I can suggest you what is the best channel to communicate your value. But if you don't feel that you can provide value, if you don't know the why people should do business with you rather than a competitor, nothing else works. So we need
Wow.
to step to the first step is your inner voice. From your inner voice, we are going to extract the value from your product or service. And the third stage, what means of communication works for you, which sometimes we try to emulate other people, what they do, but despite they are doing exactly what we are doing, maybe the channel is not the same as the channel that you should use. But the metacognition, what is inside of here, is the most important part.
Wow, it's working from the inside out.
Yes, yes.
That's amazing. I really love that. I think that's applicable to anyone hearing us today regarding that aspect. And so, I guess just digging in deeper as to why this marketing bottleneck happens, I think we sort of started discussing this, but maybe a lot of these founders can say, well, why can't I just hire someone to do my marketing? What's can we dig a little bit deeper into what's actually blocking them? Because yeah, I don't think just hiring another person fixes the problem. I think you sort of alluded it needs to start with you.
Yes, whether you are a solopreneur or you work as a small business leader. Currently, I'm working, for example, with a CEO of a company, and she has like 30 employees. And we recognize that the best way to provide value to your clients is working on you as the CEO, because then there is a ripple effect. If you don't have clarity or vision inside of your company as the CEO of the company, that is going to negatively affect the entire team. So I can help your sales and marketing team, but if you as the CEO of the company don't have enough clarity about I'm solving my problem or I'm solving an actual customer problem. That is the biggest problem. Many people had a problem in the past. They couldn't find a solution, so they built a solution. Then they met some friend. They say, "Why you're not monetizing the solution?" And then they start monetizing. But in reality, they are solving their problem rather than an actual customer problem. That is one of the main reasons why they struggle to attract better quality clients.
Ah.
Then, based on my experience, the second is, do you know your why? Because if you don't know your why and your product is the best or your service is the best, but a competitor knows how to express their why better than you, despite the product or service is has a lower level of quality, they're gonna win, because it's not just the product or the service itself, it's your confidence in communicating the why. So people buy more your tone of voice, your presence, your vitality, rather than the product or service itself. And the biggest problem is you think that you can help everyone. So when I ask, for example, whether it's like a solopreneur or a business leader, who is your ideal client, many of them they say I have 2 or 3 ideal clients. And that is the main reason why your message is diluted. It's quite difficult to attract if you try to help everyone. You can help everyone, but it's quite difficult unless you have a team of people that they segment people into groups, and then they're gonna have a marketing campaign for each of them. So these are the three main problems.
Yeah, and I think I personally struggle with that. So I'm still working full time, and then on the side, I'm building my business. And yeah, I think that's been the hardest things to say. I'm just gonna focus on this like avatar instead of like all these five. Because I guess it comes to how you think. It's like, oh well, if I don't do all this, like, would I have enough clients? Like all these thoughts come to you, even despite people saying you just need to focus on one to start, and then eventually maybe you can have different services or different products for other avatars that you have in mind. So yeah, focusing, it's a big key, and that will also affect your confidence once you do that.
Yes, because if you think about why, for example, gold, the value of the gold is so high compared to maybe another metal, because there is a scarcity, there is like just a limited amount of gold. When your availability, so if you say I can't help everyone, I can help, for example, just consultants or just maybe solicitors, all the other people that you didn't included, they feel the exclusivity and they are attracted to you more than when you say I can help everyone that need my support. So it's
Yeah.
counterintuitive, but the more you, in an ethical way, I want to highlight, in an ethical way, you say I can just help, or I'm specialized helping this group of people, you attract all the others that you excluded, because they
Wow.
perceive like the level of exclusivity or the scarcity. They can't have you because you just help group X rather than Y. So it's counterintuitive, but that is the way that you can also refine your message.
Wow, that's definitely a lesson I'm taking for myself right after this podcast. I'll update my website on what it says right now
You can
because
also
it's still a little
say
bit scattered.
I'm specialized, meaning that it's not that I'm not gonna consider any kind of people that they are outside of the group, but I'm specialized. So that is like calling out that group of people, and that is where you start resonating with your message.
Wow, that's gold right there. And then so you were also mentioning about the whys, how the why is very important. Do you have examples of what that why could be? I think just for the audience and even for myself, so I can have some examples.
Absolutely. So when I say the why, we can also discuss this in more details. But I notice working, this is my 17th year working like in the field between sales and like in marketing. There are only three ingredients, I call ingredients, that are essential for any person that is in business. The first is to be consistent with your message. The second, you need to be persistent, which is the why that we are gonna discuss. And the third is to be in front of the right audience. Why important is the why? Because whether in life or like from a professional point of view, we always have ups and downs, which are emotional reaction from our body. When you have a down moment, if you think back about the why I'm doing what I'm doing, is where you move from a downside to something that you feel good enough again. So in order to be consistent with your message, you need to be persistent. Be persistent means you build the resilience to go ahead despite the downside of life or business. So really understanding why I'm doing what I'm doing allowed you to build this level of resilience, because the most successful people are not the smartest one, are the one that they keep going and learning from every single rejection, every single life lesson, whether it's positive or negative. So understanding the why, first of all, helps you to understand whether you are solving your problem or someone else's problem. Why I'm doing this? Because I can help, for example, a group of people to be very, very productive, like in your case, what you do. But then also help you to really justify why you should put an extra hour or be more strategic with your daily activities when you don't
Mm-hmm.
see immediate results. We want
Mm-hmm.
always to get like immediate results. But in
Mm-hmm.
reality, marketing business is a more team game where we need to collaborate with people, but also something that we need to invest and think long term rather than short term. When you have a very strong why, you can go ahead despite the fact that there are ups and downs.
Yeah, I know. And in business, I think that's just so important. As you said, there's ups and downs all the time. And I think there's this thing in entrepreneurship. I think it's called the entrepreneurship journey. And so many times in the past, I've tried to really start a business, like a serious business, and I just give up midway. Because things get hard, and then this time around, and like I focus on getting around like a better community of entrepreneurs, and that has helped a lot, just to see like, oh yeah, like everyone has these moments where things are not going right, you're not getting enough clientele, maybe that marketing campaign didn't really work as you expected, but having like positive people around you, I think that also influences your confidence, and yeah, as you said, being persistent regardless of what happens. But yeah, that's so tied with your why, because if you don't know your why, or I guess even if you don't have a good why crafted, you will give up. And I think I've seen this in with you as well. I know that earlier this year you were talking about like PR and all of these things that you wanted to do, and it just started like little by little, and I think now it has like just snowballed where literally I see you everywhere. And I'm pretty sure there's much to the story behind the scenes where you were. I don't think it was like a straight line, but because of your persistence, now you have all of this effect around your brand.
And also, when you have a, you said the two very, very important things. The first, I think, in terms of the community. So when people say, Alessandro, I have a very straight budget. I don't have a lot of money, but I need to promote my business. What is the best suggestion? Build a community. Because the community, the more people they see you, the more they familiarize with you. Familiarity builds the likability, so they start liking you. The likability builds the trust, and then they help you to reduce the decision making process. Maybe to work with you, collaborate with you, introduce you to a potential client. So having a community where they support you is 99% success in business. Because again, you can have the best product, the best service, but if you don't have a community, or
Mm-hmm.
a community can be a mix of colleagues but also potential clients, you
Yeah.
don't have anything. So in my three ingredients, be in front of the right audience also means I have a community where I can have my ideal
Mm.
clients, my collaborators, my influencers, any kind of people that you want to have.
Wow.
And the second reason, the second thing that has really resonated with me, what you shared, is when you have a strong why, but not here, written down, you can also pass to another person. In my
Mm-hmm.
case, it's my PR agent. If I don't have a strong why, and if I don't write my why, it remains here. When I share with the
Wow.
other person, whether it's like a PR agent, maybe a person that you meet in a networking event, they can also refer you by say, for example, Gabby wants to do X, Y, and Z, and she does X, Y, and Z for this reason. So you
Mm.
build a story around your product, your service. So
Wow.
be able to craft a why, put down and refine. I usually refine my why every Saturday. I'm not
Mm.
joking. Every Saturday, I'm gonna refine my why based on the conversation that I had from Monday to Friday. Because a
Mm.
why is not something that lasts forever. It is
Mm.
something that is gonna evolve. It's like a baby. It's like a
Mm.
baby, and then you're gonna help the baby to grow faster, better, and stronger. It's exactly the same. So when you have a strong why written down, you can give the why to someone else.
Got it. Wow. You can write it down, pass it down, and also it's totally okay that it changes over time. doesn't have to stay the same.
No, it needs to change over time, because if it doesn't change over time, means that this is a big red flag. You are not keeping updated. So you need to look at the market and your why and always align the two. If you don't align the two, it's quite difficult to run a business. It's an outdated like why, which doesn't work. You need to always refine, always to have something which is good enough, not perfect. That is the other biggest problem.
Wow, this is so key. Really, really love all of this. And so I think we've sort of like talked about different topics, but just to kind of make it all concise. So probably our listeners right now, they're like, Gabby, Alessandro, I am the marketing bottleneck. I've realized that as I'm hearing you. So they probably, they don't have clarity, they don't have a system, they're exhausted. What's one step? What's the step to becoming a recovered bottleneck in their marketing? And I think we can defer to your
Yeah.
book, right? You have steps there. Can you cover that?
Yes. So when I say the first thing that you need to do is to emotionally reframe what you do. And that start from, or you can borrow like the empathic marketing framework from the book. So there are 5 chapters, and each chapter is gonna cover one step of the buyer's journey. So where the many people struggle, and now it becomes very easy when you read the book or you follow the structure, many people hope that the person is ready to buy. In reality, there are 5 steps. The first step, you need to make sure that the person knows that they have a problem. Many people don't know that they have a problem. If they don't have a problem, they don't see you as the solution. So then you move to the next stage where you say, this is the problem and this is the solution. The next step is to helping them to understand that there are different solutions. And just at the 4th level or 5th level, so the first 3 levels, you are gonna educate. Never
Yeah.
mention about your product or service or your brand. And then when you are in level number 4 and level number 5, you start introducing your brand and telling them the why they should choose you. So at level number 3 or chapter number 3, you say these are the solutions. But then you need to move from see you as one of the solution to the solution, the only solution. And the only solution is to reflect. You take a piece of paper and write the why people should do business with you based on your strength. Leverage your strength. Don't try to fix your weaknesses. Leverage your strength. And then you're going to craft a message around the why, where you make the person feel that you are the only solution. And
Yeah.
step number 5, or chapter number 5, is to guide the person to make the action. Whether they want to download a PDF file from your website, they want to book a consultation with you or work with you, you need to guide the person until they're ready to buy. But what many people struggle is, if you think about 100% in terms of the communication, the first 60% is more educational. Educate the person. Only the last 40% is where you introduce your brand and you introduce your why. So now it's much easier for a person to have the clarity. Okay, the majority of the times I just need to educate people, and just at the very end, sometimes I'm gonna put my name, my product or service. So that creates, based on my experience with clients, create a lot of clarity, because many times people don't know what to write.
Yeah.
A way to write something which is valuable for the other person is to have a conversation with people, and I believe everyone has at least one conversation a day with someone. Write down that conversation and share online to educate people about that particular problem. So it's more keeping track of your daily conversation, educate your audience, and sometimes put the name of your brand, product, or service. That is my top suggestion to create clarity in
Yeah,
our
because
mind.
I think the common pattern is that right now we see the opposite, where people sell, sell, sell. They put their brand in front of your face, but you don't know anything about them. There's nothing to really connect you or build trust. And when you educate, as you mentioned, it sort of builds trust naturally with you. Like, one, they know what, they have knowledge about that area. But second, like, okay, I see them as a human, and I just trust them. Like, I am open to working with them, even if it's not conscious, right? But I think somewhere in your brain, you're like, okay, I kind of like this person more, because I do believe that people buy from people they like.
Yes. And if you think about trust and likability, start from familiarity. How can I make a person much more familiar with me? It's called in psychology the mere exposure effect. The more we are exposed to a stimuli, like a person or a message from a person, the more we become familiar to the person. And what brings familiarity? The likability. I like the person. The more I like the person, the more I trust the person. And the more I trust the person, the less friction I have in my decision to work with the person. So be very consistent. What Google said, like the 7-4-11. So I need
Yeah.
to spend or consume 7 hours of content across like four different channel, online, offline, and across like 11 touch point. That is the reason why you should always educate people and give value to them.
Yeah, educate.
Yes.
60% and then the 40% maybe your brand. So I think for our audience, if you're kind of doing it the opposite, uh,
Oh, yes.
please, you can start working on that. I think that's a pretty easy fix. Like, as an expert in an area, you have so much knowledge that you can give back to your community, and it helps you out and them in so many different ways. Um, and
Absolutely.
then this is just, and please grab the book if you can. It has so much more information that Alessandro covered. It was really insightful for me. And I'm a business major. I did my undergrad and even my master's in business, and I'm still learning. And yeah, it's such a great read. And it's something I read it in a day.
Yeah.
Because it was so good. So it's nothing like, a thick book. It's just, but it is pretty packed with a lot of information. And so, Alessandro, this has been really, really valuable for me. And I think also for our audience. And I just love how this connects to the bigger picture of bottlenecks with founders, right? The marketing bottleneck. That's what we covered today. And so, if you're a marketing bottleneck, please take action with some of the information that Alessandro, shared today. But before we wrap it up, Alessandro, if someone is listening and, again, they're thinking, yep, I'm definitely the marketing bottleneck. What's one thing you want them to remember from today's conversation? What's one permission you want to give them, since we kind of give them a lot of homework, but we do want to acknowledge it can be a lot to implement.
Based on my experience, is something that is what I share today is really, really important. But be having like a system, something that allowed you to track everything that you do and be, let's say, a little bit more systematic. Because what we usually do, and this is a very personal experience,
Yeah.
sometimes when I have like a consultation with a potential client, I always ask, what are your marketing asset or your marketing activities? So for the audience, a marketing activity is like if I share online on LinkedIn, that is a marketing activity. But if I take like maybe this this podcast episode is a marketing asset, become a marketing asset, or the book is a marketing asset, because whether or not we are in front of the other person, the video, the book works for us. We keep like educating people. So moving from just sharing for the sake of sharing, which is a marketing activity, and use like the video, the book, or an article as a marketing asset that even when you sleep is going to work for you, is the most important thing. So when I ask to companies or solopreneurs, what are your marketing assets? Sometimes they give me 50 marketing assets. I say, okay, but do you have like 1,000 people that they can help you in the team? No, I just on my own, or maybe I have 2 3 people. So the top suggestion is to really, really reduce from 40 50 marketing assets to 5. because
Ah.
5 is much more manageable. And my top suggestion is to select marketing asset based on a balance between online and offline. Online can
Mm.
be, for example, YouTube channel, for example, podcast. Offline instead is go to a networking event.
Mm.
My vision for the future, the more we have AI, the more human connection we are gonna crave. So
Mm.
balancing the two, online and offline,
Yeah.
and reducing from, let's say, 40, 50 marketing assets to 5 is a way to, first of all, not to burn out. Burnout is the
Mm-hmm.
main problem nowadays. It's
Yeah.
because you have too many activities and you don't think about how can I leverage one activity with the other one. For
Mm.
my experience, 1 plus 1 is equal 11. Because when you know exactly how to leverage marketing an asset A with asset B and knowing what is the right combination to get 10x in terms of result, that
Mm-hmm.
is the most important part, because you save a
Mm-hmm.
lot of marketing cost, but you get much higher results. So it's
Wow.
to just summarize, don't think that you need to have a 50 marketing asset to run a business. Select online, offline marketing asset, select the 5 and try to understand what is the right combination in order to get 10x in terms of result. But you need to have a system. And I think your area of expertise, your business is a lot about a system, a flow, something like that, which I'm very curious if you could tell me more about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, this is great. And yeah, I think it's true. Like sometimes we have so many things because we think that volume will produce more quantity, but that can actually lead to more confusion. And then sometimes you might need to update those marketing assets, but because you have so many, like I think I talked with a lead and she just had so many things that they were lost, and then clients would find her somewhere online and she would just be like, oh, but I don't offer those services anymore, or that's not my right contact information, that's why I didn't see your email, because it's just so she didn't have a chance to update everything because she just was scattered all over the place.
Yeah.
So being more organized, and it kind of reminds me of the 80-20 rule, right, where 80% of your work gets produced by 20% of
Yeah.
your input, something along those lines. So what you said, start from like your 120 assets or whatever just to 5, and those 5 will multiply the results that you're currently seeing right now. But yeah, no, I really, really love that. And yes, I help customers with their operations to streamline that. And I think we could be a great pair, right? You help with the marketing, I help with the
Yeah.
operations, and we will get you on board to not be in the bottleneck, not be in stress and burned out, because those are the top 3 things that I always encounter when I talk with customers. And there's solutions, so you don't have to live like that. um, and you just need to take action, right? Take that first small step, and then you can become a recovered bottleneck in your business. So with that, Alessandro, before we really, really wrap it up, I want to ask you, if the audience wants to connect with you, how can they connect with you outside of this episode, this podcast episode?
Absolutely. So LinkedIn is my main platform where I share what I share today on a regular basis from a more psychological point of view. And like the book is really, really good. As you said, it's just 72 pages where you can digest whether you are a background in marketing or not. You can digest and you can immediately apply everything that you learn from the book. And there are all the details, my personal details in the book. So LinkedIn and the book, I think, are the two main ones.
Perfect. No, that is awesome. I'll put it in the details, the show notes for everyone to have access. And yes, I like to be on LinkedIn and I see your content and like those really good tips. So, yes, follow him, connect with Alessandro for those golden tips. And yes, again, to everyone that is hearing us today, remember, you don't have to be the bottleneck. There's always a path to becoming a recovered bottleneck. So thanks for listening, everyone, and I'll see you in the next episode where we tackle another bottleneck holding founders back. Thank you, everyone. Bye
Thank you,
bye.
Gabby, and thank you, everyone. Bye bye.